Welcome to Element 6 of TPP for Essex Partners. Element 6 is called Relationships Matters. This element highlights the importance of the key adult and child relationship, provides approaches and strategies based on the PACE model, and considers the impact of shame. We have listed all the content that we deliver in Element 6 for the full advanced level TPP schools and settings training to give you an idea of the depth and breadth it covers. The concepts highlighted in purple are the concepts that we will cover with you in our overview of Element 3 today. As a key adult in a child's life, we're supporting them to develop trust in us, experience consistent adults who are emotionally and physically available to them, have adults that sensitively respond and attune to their needs, adults that accept all parts of them which will increase their self-worth, engage with them effectively and consistently to build their secure attachment, and being available to them when they need support and care from a trusted adult. This is a useful analogy for the adult-child relationship. We can see that the child, the boat, is at the mercy of their experiences, the waves, and it is a secure relationship, the anchor, which keeps them safe. For some children and young people, they may not have a secure and consistent secure base. What if the waves are huge? What if the anchor isn't secure? What if their boat is in poor condition? The additional relationships which surround a child need to be the anchor against change and to provide them with new experiences of getting to know people differently. As providers, we can provide a second chance secure base or anchor to enable children to revise, refine and re-evaluate relationship templates and assumptions that may have developed through existing or previous relationships with other key adults in their lives. So just because they may have had negative experiences of relationships in the past, doesn't mean they're unable to learn how to have better relationships in the future. When there are secure relationships, a child engages in a typical socialisation process. Note how the cyclical nature of the process supports individuals to gain a sense of connection and belonging, which is reinforced repeatedly. The individual acquires a personal identity and learns the norms, values, behaviour and social skills appropriate to his or her social position. Now look at the contrast with this visual. The child who does not experience a sense of belonging and connection through a secure relationship feels anger and rejection instead. This can lead them to fail to engage in those seeking to regulate them, and they can experience excessive blame and shame, which we will explore later. This in turn contributes to their continuing sense of not belonging and so on. We'd just like you to take a moment to consider, how do adults act as role models in your workplace? There's a quote here that says, "Children seldom misquote you. They usually repeat word for word what you should not have said." This is one of our favourite quotes. Every interaction is an intervention, because it reminds us that we can make a difference in all the little things we do. Bruce Perry said, "So often trauma happens in relationships, but it is also in relationships that healing occurs." Don't overlook any opportunity or any interaction you may have in the day. These can all add up. Don't feel bad if the day has overtaken you and you haven't done a particular intervention. It's likely that you've had an impact on someone during the day. Your intervention may not have been planned, but may have had a lasting effect. Do you value the golden moments you have with children and families throughout the day? The PACE model can be used by any adult to validate, explore and understand children's feelings. It is an approach which limits shame, promotes compassion and brings a sense of mutual support, strength and resilience. When an adult spends time and demonstrates an interest in a child's inner life, the adult contains and regulates the child's emotions. Eventually the child will learn to do this themselves. PACE stands for playfulness, an open, ready, calm, relaxed and engaged attitude. Acceptance, unconditionally accepting a child makes them feel secure, safe and loved. Curiosity, without judgment, children become aware of their inner life. And empathy, a sense of compassion for the child and his or her feelings. P is for playfulness. Many adults working with children think they are playing with a child, when in fact they are observing passively while the child plays alone or with peers. Ideas to engage in playfulness. Use humour or silliness. Distract or break an intense or stressful situation. Start to sing a silly song or tell a joke. Make time to play together actively. Laugh together. Let the child lead when being curious to safely explore. In a recent study by Susan Salisbury in 2018, found that playing closely with a child for just a few minutes each day made a measurable improvement in the adult-child relationship. A is for acceptance. We need to accept and don't evaluate wishes, thoughts, feelings, beliefs and desires. Becoming aware of and understanding the inner life of another without trying to change it. Demonstrate that the child's inner life is safe with the adult. The adult is not judging nor trying to change the inner experience. Reduce shame through acceptance of a person and separate them from the behaviour. Affirmation means affirming the child's sense of self, the instinctive value of their life and their capacity to make a positive contribution to their world. Welcome means welcoming regardless of difference, of expression of feeling, letting them know explicitly that they belong no matter what. Believing means that whatever they communicate in the here and now is valid and worth taking notice of and reflecting on. Believing that there is some kind of meaning in their behaviour that needs to be understood. Acknowledging means we acknowledge their situation, both past and present, being aware of the impact of the relational trauma and loss upon them. Acknowledging behaviour as a communication. For example, we might say, I noticed that you've been late a few times this week. What's that about? Curiosity is about an attitude of not knowing. Tentative wondering coming out of the experience of the child. Curiosity is the search for alternative stories about events, conversations and actions. If we are not curious, we make rapid judgments leading to non-reflective action. This can shut down our relationship with another. It's important to be aware of safeguarding responsibilities within the adult-child relationships. If the child makes a disclosure of what appears to be one through telling their story, ensure you know how to respond and follow up. Empathy is the ability to feel with someone. Show the child that whatever emotion they experience, the adult is sharing it. Experience emotion while staying regulated, i.e. experience anger without getting angry. Through empathy, we build relationships and make connections. When we express empathy, we are expressing our understanding of the other. Empathy will make the child's feelings more able to be felt because it will provide a real connection with the child that makes them feel psychologically safe. Consistent empathic listening will strengthen and bring about secure attachment between the adult and the child. The child's previously unmanageable feelings will become more manageable. Empathising with a child's anger means it is far less likely to be discharged in a non-thinking way, because the empathy has made the anger thinkable. Remember the upstairs-downstairs brain. Once the powerful feelings are processed in this way in the child's frontal lobes, the analytic part of the brain by the adult thinking about the feelings with the child, their downstairs brain impulses of the fight, flight, freeze response will naturally be inhibited. The child will develop the essential life skills of being able to reflect on his or her feelings rather than discharging them or defending against them. Discharging means impulsive actions such as running away or hitting out. Research shows us that children who have been empathised with on a regular basis in childhood have a good vagal tone, a calm body state, and consequently do better academically, socially and emotionally. It is only through being empathised with as a child and being touched by that empathy that you let it in, you learn to empathise. But when people are helped to talk about their feelings rather than trying to make out all is well when it isn't, their body and mind are calmer and far more regulated or stable and relaxed. When people are in pain, someone's empathic presence calms the body, as opposed to no one being there. We would now like you to pause the webinar and click link to video 7 in element 6 of the video link handout that goes along with these webinars. Relationships can be the place where shame occurs. Let's watch this short video that explores the difference between shame and guilt. Understanding and managing shame. Shame is a complex emotion that develops later than the development of more straightforward feelings or emotions such as anger, joy and sadness. Shame is uncomfortable for children who learn to limit shame-inducing behaviours. And guilt is protective. It helps children to learn socially acceptable behaviour and thus to be able to develop relationships. Where a child feels shame on a regular basis, the hypervigilance of emotional reactions known to be associated with regular and high levels of stress will be observed and depicted in the diagram. Signs of distress caused by the feelings of shame could therefore be where a child is observed to engage in behaviours that compromise the safety of themselves and others, or where the child denies their involvement in an incident, even in the face of evidence to the contrary, or withdraws from social contact. Understanding that these behaviours may be due to a stress caused by the feelings of shame should trigger the adult to respond by looking for ways to reattune with the child or young person and engage in restorative practices to repair the relationship, rather than engage in ways that will create further feelings of shame. The shield against shame. Unhelpful things would include lying, blaming, minimising and rage. Helpful things to combat shame include apologising, asking for help, talking about your feelings and restore and repair. Repeated experiences of shame can form an individual's core identity. I am a shameful person, possibly leading them to display chronic anger and controlling behaviours. Children can feel alienated and defeated, not good enough to belong, and become trapped in a shame of feeling abandoned. Shame becomes toxic and they experience difficulty with regulating emotions and rational thinking. This prevents them from responding flexibly or controlling their impulses. Children need to develop defences against overwhelming shame. They may adopt the shield against shame when asked to account for their actions. The person standing behind the shield is protecting themselves, but this can be a barrier to maintaining relationships. Children need to experience attunement. If they don't, then shame is damaging. Healthy relationships follow a cycle of recovery and repair. When this cycle is interrupted, children can experience overwhelming unregulated shame. Recovery and repair is essential to prevent the relationship from going to the ugly place. Connection before correction reduces shame and improves behaviour. Remember to make happy memories. Find ways to reconnect. Be responsive and challenge unhelpful thinking. We would now like you to pause the webinar and click the link to video 8 in element 6 of the video link handout that goes along with these webinars. This video highlights the value of the key adult and child relationship in a school, but this could equally be applied in any key adult-child relationship. We encourage you to consider for which young person you may be like Mr. Pigden. This slide has a range of helpful questions adults can use to reflect on the quality of relationship they are providing with their service users, whether that's children and young people or adults. Think of a service user and apply these reflective questions as I read them out to you. Who do you want to be in this situation? Have I made enough deposits into the child or young person's emotional bank account? Will this build or break trust? Am I calm, alert and ready to support this child or young person? Am I being intentional about the energy I will bring to this space? Does the child or young person have a sense of belonging in our setting? Am I offering others and myself unconditional positive regard? Is this a good use of the child or young person's time? And are we having enough fun? Should you wish to find out more about the themes covered in today's session, we recommend these sources as a starting point. These can be found in the handout that goes along with these webinars. We have now come to the end of element 6. Please be aware that the topic of trauma and emotional well-being can be emotive, and it's important to look after your own well-being. There are some useful links for accessing support should you or someone else you know need it. You can find this slide in a downloadable copy alongside our TPP webinars.